Thank you, Angie. Good evening, everybody. It's great to be with you. Welcome to Actives for all of you who have joined within the last month. This is my first time ever doing a newcomers call. Typically, it's David Brown, my partner, and I spend most of my time speaking Spanish. But today, as luck would have it, it's my turn. So welcome, happy Tuesday. No, excuse me, happy Wednesday. What is today? Tuesday. It's actually my son's birthday, so it's a special day. My name is Ryan Thompson, for those of you who don't know me. And as I said, the purpose of this Zoom is specifically for newcomers, to give an overview of our company Actives, a little bit about our history, a little bit about why what motivated us and inspired us to start this company, what makes us different, and a little bit about what the future holds for us. So over the next 2.5 hours, I'll be covering some of these areas. I'm kidding, not 2.5 hours. We'll keep it brief tonight. I will try and keep it about 30 minutes this evening. I might go 40 minutes. So I'm going to just jump right into it. As I mentioned, my name is Ryan Thompson, and as a company, this coming November, we will complete 4 years as a company in the direct selling or the omni-channel space. And some of this started about 5 years ago, just in the ideation phase and planning stage, meeting with different scientists and traveling around, meeting with investors, putting together the executive management team. And almost 4 years ago, this coming November, we will complete 4 years. So it's been 4 years. It's flown by. For me, it's been 5 years that has really flown by. And it's been a dream come true. And welcome to Actives. A little bit about my background. I'll start with kind of just a short overview. My background is in the direct selling space. I started I started as a distributor in 1992. And I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And I was signed up in a company named Amway. And I was very young. I was 3 years old. And I wasn't quite 3 years old, but I was a lot younger than I am today. And I really didn't have a great experience. But I learned that there was this whole industry out there that didn't sell products in stores, but actually worked through independent distribution franchises. And then in 1995, I began working what I'll call the corporate side of this industry for a large billion-dollar company. And I stayed there for about 8 years. And we've got a little bit of background noise. I wonder if we can all mute ourselves. See if I can do that. There we go. And that company was called New Skin, and I cut my teeth, and I really learned the ins and outs of not just the direct selling industry, but the nutritional supplement industry, and just the spirit of giving you guys a background as to who I am. I was working at that company in the mid-90s, and I was still in college, and I was changed my major probably a dozen times. And then when it came time to graduate, I had a degree in Spanish and in psychology. And I didn't work in either of those. I was counseled after doing a pre-law internship from a mentor of mine, a professor from Brown University, to take some time off and really decide what I wanted to do before pursuing a master's or PhD. And so I went full time at this company called New Skin. And one of the things that I did at that company was I would cut people's checks. So at the end of each month, or actually at the middle of each month, I worked with about 200 people specifically and made sure they got their paycheck for the month. Now, these were not employees of the company. These were independent distributors or independent business owners. They go by different names. At that company, we call them independent distributors. And this is how that company, which was then a $1.2 billion company, this is how it sold its product. It's distributed them exclusively through these distributors. And I would on the 15th of each month, I would get phone calls from, like I said, about 200 people wanting to know what their check was for the month. And let's see if we can go ahead and keep on with the mute there. And what I would do is I would type in an ID number, and I would look up an account, and I would give them the amounts of these checks. And the reason why this was actually January of 1995, really stands out in my memory, was because I not ever experienced this before. But I'd look up their account and I would say things like, Craig, your check this month is $230,000. Nathan, your check is approaching $400,000 or $390,000 for the month. Rick, your check is $90,000. And I had Prudy, your check is $50,000 for the month. I had about 200 people who earned on the low end about $50,000 per month, and on the high end, $400,000 a month. And I got to know these people, and I learned that they didn't own their own companies. They weren't the CEO or the president or anybody, the vice president of the company. They were founding distributors of this company. In other words, they were independent contractors, independent distributors. And they'd been around, many of them, since 1984 when the company was founded. Some of them joined between 84 through 1990. And in the early 90s is when that company really began to grow, and their sales organizations expanded throughout all the world, and they had a diversified product offering. And their commission checks that they received were quite substantial. As I would argue, they were probably 0.001% of the top earners in the world, and they earned as much or far more than the highest paid CEOs in our country. I recall having conversations with my dad on the weekend and telling him about this, and jokingly he said, "Well, Ryan, I think that you picked the wrong major in college. You should probably change your major." And I remember thinking, you're right. And to make a very long story short, I decided to stay in this industry and continue to learn as much as I could from these people with my work and from other mentors. And as the years went by, I found myself leaving that company after 8 years. I got off the bench and I got in the game, and I signed up myself as a distributor of a total of 4 companies. And my 4th company was a technology company where I finally figured out how to have success. And I was able to generate a passive residual asset and live on residuals for a few solid years. And in the early 2000s, about 2003, the advent of a disruptive technology called the smartphone was invented, and I lost all of my customers, all my distributors, because the product or the service that we sold was long distance. So some of you might remember that year. And so I learned firsthand what a disruptive technology is. And at that point, I went back to the corporate side, and this is when I began working with our host tonight, who's Angie Hawthorne. She and I met and started to work at a company about is a mid-cap company doing about $465 million a year in the direct selling space. And I met other colleagues and friends back then, but I went back to the corporate side. And then about 2006, I went on to start my own companies and co-found companies and Actives, just to bring us to the present, to make a very long story a little bit shorter. The genesis for Actives really didn't just happen. It came as a result of working with people, working with colleagues, working with scientists over the course of the last 21 or 22 years, and building on these relationships. So I was contacted, just so everybody here knows what my story is with regards to Actives, and what brought me to Actives was I was contacted early on by a couple investment groups in Mexico that were interested in investing in a company that I would essentially lead or start. And I traveled from my home in Sacramento to Mexico, and I went down, I met with them, and I realized that I had it in me to do one more. I'm not interested I'm not a serial entrepreneur who likes to jump from one thing to the next. But this was in 2016, and I decided that if I was going to do something again, have another project, I wanted to start something that would not be small, but that would be big, right? People are not attracted to small things, to small projects. Investors certainly aren't. It's a lot easier to raise a lot of money than it is to raise a little bit of money for something, small time. So I decided if I was going to go big, I needed to have the very best science, the very best scientists, the very best products. So I picked up the phone and I sent some emails to an old friend with whom I'd worked beginning 2009, Dr. Joe McCord. And we started to talk and correspond, and he started to say, yeah, the science of epigenetics, which was a science I was familiar with beginning in 2009, has really evolved. It's come a long way, and I've happened upon some pretty compelling new formulas. So we planned on getting together. I bought a ticket and I flew to Florida in October of 2016 and sat down with him, and he shared with me how the evolution, how this epigenetic science or technology had evolved. And that was the genesis for Actives, because following that meeting, I began to call back these investors. I began to talk with people like Angie Hawthorne, who you see here, and other members of trusted friends of mine with whom I'd worked for many years in this space. And we've kind of stuck together company after company and shared with her and others what had been happening. I picked up the phone, I called an old friend named David Brown, and who happened to be by my house, who went and had lunch, and I told him that I was going to be starting a company. I was in the process of raising money and doing all the things that you do. And he at the time was in the process of procuring a manufacturing plant, but we decided that we wanted to work together. Fast forward a year later, after a very long year of meeting with investors, meeting with manufacturing owners of big multi-billion-dollar manufacturing facilities in Mexico, and meeting with strategic partners, meeting with other scientists, meeting with other labs, meeting with potential distributors. I picked up the phone and called David Brown and said, David, I've got the full investment, but you and I always talk about doing this together. What level of interest do you have? Because I'm going to make a decision. And he essentially said, Ryan, how soon can you get to Utah? Because I do want to do that and I'm ready. So I flew to Utah, and we decided to partner rather than me take investment from a different group. And that was April of 2017. And at the very end of that year, we launched in Mexico. And why did we launch in Mexico? We launched in Mexico because a lot of my contacts, in fact, most of my very strong contacts, were located in Mexico. They were distributor leaders who had a lot of business contacts in Mexico. There was a natural organic demand for this very strong epigenetic product that we launched, which is called Genomics now. And so that's why we launched there. It had a lot to do with pre-existing business relationships. Why the name Actives? Actives is an interesting word, and a lot of people, if you don't speak English, sometimes get it wrong, and it's not easy to pronounce. But Actives is an exciting word for me because we were planning on launching with a different name. And when I was in the Utah office for my first time ever, actually, when I was visiting David Brown and his manufacturing plant for my first time, and we were talking about, could we work together? Could this happen? He had a sign on the wall that said Actives Products. It was a brand name of a line of products that was obsolete, that used to be produced by this manufacturing company. And he said, what do you think about this name? I've always really liked this name. And I liked it. And we started to think about, boy, our products being epigenetic products, which means they influence your genes. It's a powerful word, which intimates activation, right? Activation of your cells, activation of your potential, activation of your body's own defense system. Activating wellness, right? And it also intimates the actives inside of a molecule. So there's always the actives, there's the active ingredients, there are the active compounds. And those were the types of products that we wanted to bring to the marketplace. So that's why we decided on the name Actives. That same day, I picked up the phone. I called Angie Hawthorne. I think Stu Carvalho, who's here with us, was probably called that same day, if not very shortly thereafter. And we began to put together our team, and the rest was history. Now, we launched in Mexico with about 25,000 people, distributors and customers. And by the end of the year, we didn't launch with 25,000. We launched with approximately 1,000 people, and we ended the year with about 25,000 after our very first year of business in Mexico. It was a very exciting year, and we made plans to expand in other markets, including the United States. By the end of year 2, we ended with about 50,000 users and promoters. And this year of 2021, we have our sights and we have expectations to end this year between $24 and $26 million for the year. And we're excited. It will be a great success story for us and for all of our pioneering founding distributors, not only in Mexico, but also in the United States, in Peru, in Japan, in our other markets that we do business. Let me talk a little bit about, so that's our history. That's a bit of my background. Those are the broad strokes of the background of Actives. There's, of course, always more to the story, but as you who are new, as you jump in and you get to know our products, and the scientists, the formulators, you'll learn more about our history as well. But we are in the right place at the right time. Interestingly, the science of epigenetics is growing very, very quickly. In the last decade alone, there have been more studies published on what's called Nerf2 technology, which is epigenetics, than in the previous 50 years. And so you can, in fact, go to a website called pubmed.gov. You can type in epigenetics. You can type in Nerf2, NRF2, which is a chemical pathway in the nucleus of your cell. And you'll see all the studies. They've just been published in the last 10 years with a few exceptions. And for me, right, from a business perspective, it tells me that we really are positioned at the right time in history, understanding that epigenetics, which is the influencing of genetic expression or gene expression, is the future. It's not the past, it's the future of wellness and of medicine. So this is our message, and it's exciting to realize that we are in the right place in time. Now I'm going to share my screen here because I want to give just a quick overview of some of our products for those of you who are brand new and listening to this maybe for the second time, because I don't think you would be in our business if you hadn't heard about it before. But I'll give you my perspective quickly on some of these products. If I can just share my screen. There we go. I think you can see my screen. I'm not featuring all of our products. I'm featuring some of our products. We're missing one of them. I'll talk about that. But the first 3 products, Genomics, Link, and Optiment, are referred to as our trifecta. And I'll speak about each one of them. Genomics is a product designed to optimize genetic expression. It's an epigenetic product, which is really cutting edge science. There's no question, there's no doubt about that this is the future of medicine and wellness, in as much as 65% of our genes as humans can be influenced, right? We know that we're not going to change our height or the color of our eyes, or things like that, but there are some genes and families of genes that certainly can be influenced. So if you consider the fact that there are certain ailments or health conditions, whether it's addiction or other more serious diseases that are hereditary, by virtue of them being hereditary, we know that they are found in our genetic makeup. And so what genomics does specifically is it stimulates the production of what are called survival genes. It gets them to produce more, and it downregulates the production of certain genes that are associated with negative predispositions. So that's a mouthful, right? You don't need to memorize all of this, but just know that this is a very cutting edge product. And what it really does is it enables our own bodies to do what they were designed to do, right? The best way to heal is to have your body heal itself. right? Not to find a panacea or a pharmaceutical product or something like that's going to take the illness out. The key to real wellness and true health and wellness is having your body function optimally, right? And this is what genomics does, is it facilitates that process. Link is a product that comes from another biotech company separate from Genomics, and it's comprised primarily of butyric acid. We call it the cellular, oh boy, I'm having a hard time thinking in English, cellular jet fuel. And what it does is it creates a link between two very important parts of our bodies. What we call our first brain, which is between our ears, and our second brain, which is in our gut. Doctors, health advisors, the wellness community, healthcare professionals refer to our gut today as the second brain. That's not unique to us. This is fairly common within healthcare. And in fact, many serious conditions, whether it's Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, autism, today are treated primarily through treating the gut. And so this product does a very, very good job at addressing the needs of the second brain. Just to give you sort of the nickel tour of what this product does, is it feeds the mitochondria in our gut. It fixes or stops what's referred to as the leaky gut, and it creates a real direct link between the gut and our brain. 200 million neurons are actually found in our gut, not in our first brain, but in our gut, which is about 95% of our again, I'm struggling with English, neuron, with our neurons. 95% of them, 5% are in our head, 95 in our gut. And that's about, and 75% of our immune system is also found in our gut. So it's a real key product in strengthening our gut, right? Some people that use it, you know, we have incredible testimonials, and I would encourage you to seek them out. Ask the person who invited you to share some of these testimonials with all of our products. This one was probably the one where I noticed the fastest results for me personally. And gave me a real keen awareness because when my gut was balanced, it really had a direct impact on my brain, on my first brain. So it was remarkable. And that was before anyone told me that was supposed to happen. Now, the third product here, Optiment, I'm sorry, I'm going to go ahead and click through this. There's the Optiment. I'm sorry, I'll click here. Here's Optiment. Optiment is the third product that you were seeing up there. It's tetrahydrocurcumin. It comes out of the same lab that produces Link. It's designed to address chronic pain and reduce inflammation. So tetrahydrocurcumin, just to give you again the nickel tour of what that is. It is a curcuminoid, which is a molecule which comes from curcumin, which is from turmeric. You're probably very familiar with that. Now, here's something that most people don't know. Whether you work at a health food store or you're an alternative practitioner or an allopath, most people don't know that when people study curcuminoids and their absorbability, what they don't disclose is they are very difficult to absorb. So you could eat spoonfuls of curcumin or chew on turmeric root all day, and it's going to just pass through your body. The molecules are very large and difficult to absorb. That is if you watch infomercials sometimes about curcumin, they never talk about that. They never mention that. They just talk about what an amazing ingredient is. So the labs at Tesseract that produce this, and the owner is a really interesting, innovative guy, which you'll hear. I encourage you to tune in on the 24th this month, and you'll hear him present at a large virtual event. But they developed a proprietary delivery method, which is called Zylock DEX key system, which wraps the curcuminoid in such a way that it maximizes absorption. Now, that's a mouthful. Let me just summarize what I just said by saying we have a patented proprietary process which maximizes your body's ability to absorb this, thereby benefiting from its very strong anti-inflammatory properties. For more information, absolutely talk to the person who introduced you or who enrolled you. We also have incredible videos that I want to make sure make you aware of. Amora is an anti-aging skincare line, which is tremendous. Here's some before and afters that you can look at. And again, so that I don't take too much time on tonight's call, I want to make sure that you know where you can access this information. If you log into your virtual office, if you haven't done that yet, you did receive an email when you enrolled, and there is instructions on how to access and log into your virtual office. In that virtual office, you will click on, I encourage you to go to a folder which is titled Library. In the library, you're going to see a lot of videos, and there are many product videos. So I encourage you to look at videos, and we have a lot of incredible testimonials on Amora. But I would say that for all of our products. Make sure that you're really understanding our products. Our newest product, which I don't have a slide for, is called Arrow, and it is a drink which provides energy and provides weight loss properties. Key active ingredient is African mango. Feel free to Google African mango if you haven't done that, and you will see its incredible weight loss benefits. There's chromium, there is green tea extract, there's green coffee bean extract, and some other ingredients that are really important in helping in the weight management process and energy as well. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here for a moment and shift gears because I don't want to jump into a full-blown opportunity presentation. But again, please visit the virtual office. We also have an app. If you haven't yet downloaded the app, download the app. We have instructions on how to do that. If you need help, talk to the person who enrolled you. If they need help, you're welcome to call our 1-800 number, and they can walk you through downloading the app. There are, like I said, a lot of videos on the products and a lot of videos on what you can do to get started. If you're here because you're interested in earning money, like many of our independent distributors are, there are also videos that talk about that, and there's compensation plan information. To make the best use of tonight and of time, what I'd like you to go away with are not anything too granular or detailed. I want you to understand something about who we are and about our products. These are epigenetic products, right? So epigenetics, if you leave with anything, write the word epigenetics down, because it's not what we sell, it's what distinguishes us. It's what makes us different and unique. There are companies that talk about any number of health fads, right? And I refer to those as kind of the flavor of the week. Our commitment as a company is to stay on the cutting edge of what's relevant in health, in wellness, and in scientific technology in the biotech world. And the most relevant development in biotech right now is epigenetic science. So the foundation of our company is built upon a foundation of epigenetics. Now, I'll say a quick word about our formulators. When people ask me, well, what makes your company different than this health company or that health company or this wellness company? And for me, it's very simple. It has to do with who is behind it. It has to do with who our formulators are and who the doctors and the scientists are that are involved at the level of our advisory board, our scientific advisory board. So Pathways Bioscience, Dr. Joe McCord, Dr. Bifeng Gao, Dr. Brooks Hybertson. These are biochemists and analytical chemists and geneticists who have spent now more than 50 years in research and development of what today is referred to as epigenetics. 10 years ago, I'll say this, 12 or 15 years ago, it wasn't. And I know because I was involved in starting a company that that was engineering this. And we didn't call it epigenetics even as recent as 12 years ago. But they go back to, Dr. Joe McCord goes back to 1959. And so we have a real foundation of scientific efficacy and R&D that distinguishes us. I mentioned Al Zapp, who previously owned Thorne Research, and today is the owner of Tesseract, which formulates two of our products, is truly at the cutting edge of all things gut health, as well as anti-inflammatory and addressing chronic pain. And these are both there are two labs that take a pharmaceutical approach, right, or traditional medicinal approach to doing research and development and designing and formulating these products. But these are not synthetic products. These are not big pharma products. These are nutritional supplements, which puts us in a very unique and special category. And I would dare say that 10 or 15 or 20 years ago, there would be no way to design or to formulate this type of product that we have that comes from natural components and have it be natural, right? To get the kind of results that we're getting, that would need to be synthetic and have all kinds of contraindications and side effects. So we are very proud of the high quality, cutting edge science that's behind our products. The other scientists and doctors that are involved with actives. Now, as new people, I want you to really understand this. You don't have to memorize this, but know that fundamentally there's a big difference between us and any other health company, nutrition company, direct selling company. Dr. Joe Maroon is the vice president of the the American Anti-Aging Association. He happens to be the chief medical officer for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can go to our website and you can look at our formulas, and you can look at our advisory board members, and you can do your own research. You can even go to PubMed.gov and look at the articles and the publications that are there. PubMed.gov is a site hosted by the federal government that contains a lot. Just as it's the single largest repository for scientific information and studies that have been published. Dr. Rish Patel is an expert in managing chronic pain and inflammation. We've got a retired sitting vice admiral, Matt Winter, who in fact we as a company had to be vetted by the military, by the U.S. Navy before he could take a seat on our advisory board. I'm just naming a few. Dr. Daniel Hernandez is a double PhD in microbiology and genetics, and he's the oldest living colleague of Dr. Joe McCord, who from many years ago was involved in the very first study ever conducted on oxidative stress, which led to research on which opened the door to NRF2 activation, which opened the door to epigenetics. So my point is that sometimes people think, well, gosh, what's your company all about? You sell products, right? Your distributors sell products. And I say, no, our distributors don't sell products. Our distributors understand what distinguishes and what makes us unique and different. What we sell and what I really want, what my interest is in, and what David's interest is really spreading the word and sharing the word about epigenetics and really having a positive impact on the human potential. So I see David just joined. David, I don't know how long you've been here, but I know that you're busy, but why don't you say a couple words before?
Hey, everybody. What I wanted to do was introduce all these people. We have, I'm in Orangeville, Utah. I was headed for Brownsville, but I ended up in Orangeville. And so everybody's here, 20, 25 folks. Albertsons abroad, Trish, and they are listening to part of your presentation. They're unlike everybody else who's listening on the Zoom. These guys actually get to have dinner, pulled pork, and great stuff down here. So we just want to say hi. Thanks for pitching in and pinch hitting for me, Ryan. What I heard was awesome. So we're going to turn this call over to you all the time from now on, as if you don't have enough calls to do for the company. But thanks for being on. We're going to jump off now and get onto our meeting. But I wanted to say hello to everybody and let you know that greetings from Orangeville, Utah. And going to have a great meeting tonight.
All right, great. Thank you. Greetings to everybody there in Orangeville, Utah. I live 5 minutes away from Orangeville, California. here in Fulton. So it's nice to hear that there are more Orangevales out there. Thank you, David. Have a great evening there in Arizona. And so back to where I was going with the products, what's important for all people who are new to this company is to understand what differentiates us, right? It is really this, there's a strong demarcation around epigenetics and epigenetic science, and subsequent products and product line expansions that we may come out with, they will always be epigenetic products. Now, all that said, we're going to be announcing some new things coming up here on the 24th of this month. So make sure that you have plans on joining us and inviting people. I want to shift gears briefly or quickly here, and then I'm going to wrap this call up because we've gone 36 minutes since we started. But for new people, it's important to understand, what is this all about? What does this mean for you, right? Why aren't you selling this in stores? Why aren't you selling this in pharmacies? Why aren't you selling these products in health food stores? Well, there's one simple answer, and this has to do with who we value and what we believe our greatest asset is. Our greatest asset is our people, right? David and I didn't want to develop these products and then just go put them on the shelf or sell them in an online, retail outlet manner. And the reason why is because the reason why I explained my background at the outset in coming from the direct selling industry. And I shared that story about 1995 and managing 200 people who earned from anywhere from $50,000 a month to $400,000 a month. Is very simple. That company that I worked with was a direct selling company. And those individuals were people just like you. There were people who joined a company that had, in that case, decent products, nothing compared to what we have now. But they went and they understood one simple fact, that the number one driver for consumer decision is word of mouth marketing, right? It was recommended to them by someone who they know and trust. It is the number one driver of consumer decisions. It's more relevant and more powerful than a TV commercial, than celebrity endorsement, than a newspaper ad, if there even is such a thing anymore. And so it's important that everyone understands that. That was published by Forrester Research, a market research company a few years ago, and it was really interesting. And that was kind of when the advent of influencers started to arrive, about 8 to 10 years ago, right? And people were saying, "Gosh, how do we sell more product? How do we get our services and products sold to more people?" And this study came out by Forrester saying, "Look, the number one driver is word of mouth marketing." Now, it's far more powerful if the person knows who you are. So if any of you watched the movie, there's a fun movie on Netflix. I don't know if it's there anymore. It used to be. It's called The Founder. It's the history of Ray Kroc and the history of McDonald's, the McDonald's franchise. And it talks about how he pioneered the concept of the franchise. Ray Kroc was never out on the street trying to sell hamburgers or French fries or Big Macs or shakes. What he did is he looked for people who, like him, understood the value of a brand and understood the value of a system. And so that movie shows how he went and he kind of evangelized that, and he found not consumers. He never was out trying to convince people to buy French fries from McDonald's, but rather to invest in a franchise. So at Actives, we understand, like Forrester Research, that the number one driver of consumer decision is word of mouth marketing by someone who is known and trusted. That's the first point. Second point, that is our number one product. It's the independent distribution franchise. So when I talked about what we expect to do in revenue this year and the genesis of our company, what we did our first year, all of that occurred as a direct result of one person getting involved who shared it with another, who used the products, who shared it with another, who used the products, who shared it with another, who used the products. And so this snowball of distribution began and is continuing. Now, how do you do that? If you've never owned and operated a franchise, if you've never started your own business, if you've never been in sales, if you've never done anything like this, can you be successful here? The answer is, as you might expect me to say, yes, it is. And let me just say, we started with a small handful of people in Mexico. And 3 weeks ago, or I guess 2 weeks ago, I flew to Mexico, to a small town in the state of Chihuahua, in a town called Delicias, Chihuahua, to knock on a family's door and present them with a $100,000 check for reaching our highest rank in the company. We have 16 ranks, and this family reached the highest rank, right? They have over $1 million in monthly sales. Now, they weren't people who came to our company with anything special or unique or different. They were people who were sick and tired of being sick and tired. They wanted a change in their life, right? They were losing the family business, and they didn't have really very many other options. Now, that's not the only thing that can qualify you to do well, but that was their situation. The reason why I share that with you is because I can tell you there are a lot of people having a lot of success in actives right now, right? And we're just now starting to get some really interesting inroads into the largest market in direct selling in the world, which is the United States. So now it really, Mexico has been carrying the weight of our company since we launched. Most of our revenue is transacted by people who speak Spanish, whether they're in Mexico or Peru or Bolivia or Colombia or the United States. And right now we recognize that, and we know this, and the Direct Sales Association tells us that the largest market in direct selling is in fact the United States. So now it's up to you, and now it's your turn to do what this man, his name is Martin Lira, did and accomplished 2 short weeks ago. So to do that, I'm going to take 5 minutes in closing to share my screen, because I want you to get off this call knowing what your next steps are. Your next steps are as follows. And in fact, let me make sure that I can share my screen. Okay, I think you can see this. This is called the Active Success Guide. This has been designed to take you by the hand and walk you through step by step, right? I would encourage you to read it. Sometimes people say, well, I don't like to read, or my people that I bring in don't like to read. And I say, well, you should try buying a McDonald's franchise, or a Burger King franchise, or Taco Bell franchise, or a Quiznos, or a Subway, or a Chevron, or a Texaco franchise, because it's going to cost you a lot more money, an average of $1 million, and they are going to be much more heavy-handed in telling you what you can and can't do. This is a simple guide, right? We encourage you to read. If someone can't read, I'm sorry, but you're going to have a tough time earning money with us, because this walks you through what to do on your very first day of business. Talks about an activation system. It shares with you how to define your why, how to develop your own story, establishing goals, putting together a plan of action, and it teaches you how to generate very quickly $500 per month. $500 per month is our first threshold that we feel is important to help people reach. $500 a month is attained, and where is it here? It is attained when you find 3 business partners who consume 200 PBN product. What that is the equivalent of a Link, an Arrow, a Genomics, an Optimend, and a couple of the Amora products. That's going to, in fact, be more than 200 a month. But you find 3 people who, like you, are somewhat entrepreneurial, who have 1 to 2 to 3 hours per day that they can invest in following a system. Now, you help those 3 people find 5 customers. Who are the customers? Well, it's their mother-in-law, it's their neighbor, it's their sister, it's their ex-college roommate, and it's the guy across the street. And when those 5 customers, you help each customer, you try the products, get a personal experience or testimonial, we call it. And when they consume the same amount, so an Arrow, a Link, an Optimend, and a Genomics, those people will be, what your income will be on a residual basis is about $500. So again, it's called the M3 system, or the me plus 3 system. You plus 3 friends, each with 5 customers. That will pay you residually $500 a month. So all of that is here in this success guide. Now I'm going to just click through, because it talks about how to invite, how to contact, how to present, how to follow up. It talks about how to resolve concerns and overcome challenges, and how to close or how to enroll somebody, and then how to repeat. But I'm going to just jump to the very last page here. There's final thoughts. There's a lot of tips. This page, if you can just look at your screen quickly here, you'll see that it doesn't say a whole lot. It says weekly plan of action. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the most important page in the success guide. And in my humble opinion, because I have failed and succeeded over and over again in my life, both on the corporate side and as a distributor, The big secret to being a successful distributor is this page right here, weekly plan of action. You need to treat this like a business. If you want to be paid like a business, treat it like a business, not like a hobby. Most people's hobbies don't pay them much money, right? And so don't treat it like a hobby. If you stick a toe in, hoping that maybe you'll have some luck, it ain't gonna happen, right? And my job is to be honest with you, right? Tell you the truth, not tell you what some may want to hear. I will also tell you that you can have great success here. You can earn a lot of money. You can earn, between $30,000 to $50,000 a month really soon, just like the family down in Delicias, Chihuahua is doing. They weren't the first people to join us. They joined us well after a few thousand people had already joined us, as a matter of fact. Okay, and today as a family, they're earning between $30,000 to $50,000 a month on a monthly basis. What do? They take this weekly plan of action and they plan each week what they're going to do before that week comes. So who are they going to contact? How many calls are they going to make? And in fact, they don't go to bed at night until they've done at least one presentation, one new presentation. Now, because they do this, their team who they've invited and their neighbors and people that they've been successfully able to invite to the company have duplicated them and do what they do. All right. And so they've started, I like to call it a snowball. They've got their own snowball started that's now growing and growing and growing and growing, and they couldn't stop that snowball from growing if they wanted. So this weekly plan of action is the most important aspect of the success guide for a new distributor. So again, let me underscore the importance of the success guide just by saying, read it, really read it, and take out a pen and get a calendar and start planning what and where. If you were to go get a new job tomorrow, working at any company, you're going to be trained, right? They're going to walk you through the ropes. You're not going to be able to reinvent the wheel. You're going to essentially follow a system. And it's the same thing here at Actives, right? We're not your boss. Your enroller's not your boss. You are your own boss. But please take my word for it when I say that the greatest chance that you will have to have success is by following the system and treating it like a business. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to stop before I keep going because I could literally go all night. I think David Brown knows this. I've shared with you a bit of our background, why we started Actives, what we hope to accomplish, our vision. In fact, let me just close by sharing our vision. Our vision is like I said in the very beginning, it's to go big. We didn't start this company to go small or medium size. It's to become the next giant in the direct selling industry as an omni-channel company. We know that we have a tiger by the tail with epigenetic science. We know that's the future of wellness. We know it's the future of medicine. And we know that we have a lot of motivated people in the world who are looking to improve their health, protect their immune system, and improve their financial well-being. Many people, more than half of all Americans are 90 days away from bankruptcy if they were to lose their job. More than half are less than 90 days away from bankruptcy. In other words, there are a lot of people who need to generate a retirement for themselves. There are a lot of people who need to learn about the value of passive income. So this is the brand promise of Actives. This is what we get to do. As I said, we are a few months away from completing 4 years. We're going to finish this year at about $25 million, and you're joining the company at the right time in our history. Those people whose accounts that I used to work with and manage back in 1995, they didn't join the company in 1995. They joined that company, Nu Skin, between 1984 and 1990, right? The first 6 years of that company. And because they positioned themselves early on in that company, they were able to benefit by its growth. So this is why I share with you what our vision is for growth. We're going to become a multi-billion-dollar company. Between now and 2027, the wellness industry, the supplement industry, is going to grow by over $1 billion in revenue, about $1.2 billion. So the question that I want all of you to ask is, what portion of that $1.2 billion growth between now and 2027, the next 6 years, do you want to have? This is an opportunity to capitalize on huge, significant, relevant market trends. So my invitation, my challenge to all of you is to get to work, right? Be the next A16 of the company. Write your goals down, create a plan of action, and follow it, right? Don't become too emotional about when you contact people and they tell you that they're not interested. It's okay. Stick to the system. People can fail, but systems don't. Trust this system. If you trust this system, it will increase the probability and likelihood that you'll success. So on behalf of the company, thank you so much for joining tonight. I look forward to seeing you in a city, town, and state nearby soon. We'll be getting some traveling in here real soon. David Brown is out in Arizona, as he mentioned. And I wish you all the best of success, and have a wonderful night. And thank you for jumping out tonight. That said,